Hello, Buccaneers fans, and welcome back to another episode of Hear the Cannons presented by BucsGameday, Sports Illustrated's one and only website dedicated towards strictly Tampa Bay Buccaneers coverage. We come to you online at BucsGameday.com. So head over there, check out all of our articles. We just broke a lot of the breaking news that happened with obviously Tampa Bay finding their next or hiring their next offensive coordinator. And
Got their guy. Yeah.
Got Grizzard. So really stuff.
The pronunciation too. Look
You
at
have to get it
him.
right. You have to get it right. It's big. So huge stuff there. So we got articles going out over there. Ryan Fitzpatrick has some thoughts on the hire, as well as Todd Bowles' comments as well, which I'm sure we'll dig into here as well. But my name is Caleb Skinner at CHS Null on Twitter, a writer and reporter here at BucsGameday, along with my friend and lead editor and writer River Wells at River H Wells on X, formerly known as Twitter. Shoot him a follow as well. How are you doing tonight, River? And then just go ahead. Let's just jump right into it. New hire, awesome stuff. Give me your initial thoughts, and then we'll dig a bit deeper.
Yeah, I think I figured that, and I think a lot of people figured the Bucs would go internal for this one, and Grizzard, there you go, was the big candidate there. Next to Thad Lewis, who's gotten interviews with Tampa Bay, but I don't think he got interviewed this time. So it looks like it was Grizzard from the jump, but comes from the Mike McDaniel tree, kind of. He was there before Mike McDaniel, but then working for him as a quality control assistant. Worked at Duke during the best years of Danny Dimes, so that's fun too. And yeah, worked with the Bucs in 2024 under Liam Cohen. And we'll talk about this later, of course, but he was the Bucs' third down guy, according to Cohen. And they were not only a good third down team, they were the best third down team in the National Football League. So that's a huge stat for Tampa Bay going forward. And if Grizzard can keep that going and continue to produce both on third down and the other downs too now, that would be a pretty big boon for Tampa Bay. And as long as you can get that continuity in there, familiar with everyone on the offense, maybe add a little bit of personal flair into that, maybe a little bit of Mike McDaniel action. That'd be fun. So I like the hire. I liked a lot of people in the process. I think Nate Shieldhouse is going to be a really good candidate somewhere. Nick Kelly's got some good stuff going on. Bucs attracted a lot of the big OC names, but in the end, they're going internal, and they must feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, it's kind of a different direction than they've gone in the past 2 years, which is interesting to see. But he has only been here for a year along with Liam Cohen. Very interesting tree coming from Miami. There in the wide receivers coach and Jalen Waddle's formative years there in his development and breaking a franchise rookie record, and then rookie record for receptions. So he's done really good things. And it's interesting because I didn't feel like, even though there's all these coordinators, right? I kind of felt like there wasn't a whole lot of like hotness going around the rest of these guys. That it was kind of assumed, I guess, that the Buccaneers were probably going to go with Grizzard. So like it's very, I don't know. Did you feel that way at all? Like with this whole search?
Yeah, I think a lot of Bucs fans figured that would be one of the bigger options because Liam Cohen led a top 5 offense in the National Football League. And statistically even, and just by virtue of switching offensive coordinators, that's unlikely to happen again next season. But if you want to try and make it happen, maybe the best way to do that is to go with the offense that you've had under Liam Cohen. Grizzard knows about that offense. He's been under some other offensive minds as well. And it makes the players comfortable. They've worked with Grizzard. They know how he coaches. The terms probably won't change all that much under him, which would be pretty good too for guys like Baker Mayfield. Now we talk about how often Baker Mayfield switches offensive coordinators, and here's another one. But if the terms are even a little similar, and you get a little bit of that continuity, that might make Baker Mayfield feel more comfortable. And I like Baker Mayfield, but he needs to be a more consistent football player. He needs to get better. He needs to limit turnovers. He needs to limit fumbles. He needs to play cleaner football. And perhaps with Grizzard there, kind of doing a similar thing to Liam Cohen, that continuity can be pretty important.
I think that's probably the main reason this hire happened, right? I mean, what Todd Bowles said, it's continuity and then just the innovation that he also brings, because not only does he understand or got this from under Liam Cohen from the J tree, but he's also got the McDaniels, obviously those ties. He's also was there with Brian Flores was there as well in Miami.
Yeah, so a lot of that there, and got to be able to maintain a creativity in the offense, and that comes down to the run game as well. Cohen did a great job with the run game. If you look at the stats for Tampa Bay last year, I mean, rush yards per game, uh, top 5 offense there, and then yards per rush, 5.2, top 3 offense there in the league. They're going to have to be able to try and channel that a little bit better, and if they can do it outside of Cohen, if Grizzard can make that happen, that's huge. He's a passing game coordinator, so that's going to be an area he's going to want to hone in on probably. And the passing game was fantastic as well. Baker Mayfield threw 41 touchdowns, which you don't walk backwards into 41 touchdowns.
I mean, it's pretty spectacular when you look at, statistically him working with Baker Mayfield in the passing offense this year. It's just really, really great stats. I mean, scoring 4th, yards per play 4th, yards per pass attempt 5th. So he does like to push the ball down the field. Completion percentage 2nd, passing yards 3rd, passing touchdowns tied 2nd, passer rating 4th, and first downs 3rd. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to not back up that. And then I guess he kind of crushed the interview process as well. Speaking of which, guys, while you were here, before I let River continue on with where he's going to go, head over to our YouTube. Hear the Cannons with BucsGameday. Look us up on YouTube. Follow us there. Shoot us a like if you're enjoying this conversation. Shoot us some comments on here. We'll get to those. If you guys start popping those in, any questions, any comments, we can throw those up as well for you guys. See what you guys are thinking, what the Buccaneers faithful, what the crew is thinking out there after the hire of Josh Grizzard. So a lot of stuff going on. Now it's kind of going to be filling out the roster and going from there. But River, just to cap that off, like those numbers speak for themselves. And going back to what you originally stated, how important was it to have that 3rd down success for the Buccaneers this year? Because I think it probably bailed them out of a lot of games.
It absolutely did. And you look at the conversion percentage, 51.11. That means that they converted on 3rd downs more often than they didn't, which is quite spectacular. And if Grizzard was in charge of that, and that's what Liam Cohen said, and for the most part, you can take him by his word. But that's really something to look at, because those situations where the Bucs have had their bread and butter. Canales is really good on 3rd down too, in his whole crew. And that kind of was a defining aspect of that offense in 2023. And then 2024, it was another big part of the offense. And that allows you to have long, sustaining drives. Baker Mayfield calls them back-breaking drives. And that's what they are. And being able to have that and being able to run with that, especially combining the run game and the passing game to stay on the field on 3rd down, that's big. And I think the Bucs like that. I think you're right. He probably had a really good interview because he works there, so that probably helped too.
Of already having talked to these people,
right? What's your experience? How would you work with us? Well, those are 2 strikes right there. But it's not just that. He's an offensive mind that's worked up through the ranks. You mentioned this very beginning at the beginning of the show, very briefly. Ryan Fitzpatrick mentioned that he worked with him in Miami. And if you get an impressive veteran like that, then you can impress a lot of different people. So it sounds like it's kind of been in the works a little bit. Him moving through the ranks, coaching in Miami from 2017 to like 2022. That's huge. And now being in Tampa Bay in 2024 and getting this job, he could really carry over this offense. And he's learned from two sharp minds, Mike McDaniel, and then we've even heard Sean McVay say how impressed he was with Liam Cohen last year in Tampa Bay. So to have the acumen of those 2 people that you've worked under and to be able to draw from that to create your plays, that could be exciting. So I'm really curious to see what he does differently from Liam Cohen, because Cohen didn't really stretch the ball down the field much with Baker on the deep ball. A lot of yak yards, getting people open in space. Curious to see if that's sort of Grizzard's game, because that's kind of Mike McDaniel's game in Miami, but there's a lot of faster wide receivers in Miami. Yeah. So we'll see how it goes.
Well, you got the talent to go along the speed. We've got some guys that can do, one or the other, but not necessarily guys that are able to, be that kind of, mismatch type of guy that you can just try and find a space in the middle of the field and use the speed and route running to be able to get there. But it'll be interesting. I'm interested to see how he kind of blends those 2 things. I'm sure that's what, everybody is excited about, to see how he kind of does do that and why it's going to be innovative, because I don't know if there's been 2 from those 2 joining together, which will be very interesting. But
yeah,
now we've had Leftwich.
Yep.
Canales.
Liam. And then, of course,
And now,
Grizzard.
of course, Grizzard. And
4 in a row.
do you see this being a situation again where there's the possibility that the Buccaneers could be left out to dry following the 2025 season?
Yes. No, I mean, the thing is, Tampa Bay's got a lot of talent, right? And so that's an attractive coordinator position. And then you get here, and you look at Baker Mayfield, and I think Baker Mayfield's a good quarterback. He's been very good at times, but there might be a tick in the minds of the league that's like, oh, look what he did with Baker Mayfield. And you might start losing that sort of tick as Baker Mayfield continues to play good football. And people kind of realize it's not just these coordinators that are making who he is. He's playing good football by himself. But I think that mindset's perfect. I mean, that's why Canales got hired in Carolina. You know, look what he did with Geno Smith. Look what he did with Baker Mayfield.
Right.
And Cohen gets here. Baker Mayfield has 41 touchdowns.
Repeated history of doing so. With Liam, it was a bit different. He just kind of had that connection.
Right, and Liam got the Shanahan deal in Jacksonville despite being a first-year play caller after 1 year. So clearly, these teams especially with young quarterbacks, you know, Trevor Lawrence, not as young as perhaps some may think when talking about him, but guys like Caleb Williams, Trevor Lawrence, you know, all these people, these teams want these young offensive coordinators and these young offensive minds to try and build up their quarterbacks to the next level more and more and more and more. And there's still some defensive coaches getting hired. You know, Pete Carroll just got hired over in Las Vegas, Aaron Glenn in New York with the Jets. But if you got a young guy, you want to get these offensive geniuses and you'll do a lot and you'll take a lot of risks. And I think that's what the Bucs are facing, because you get in here, these offenses look good. They're putting up points. The Bucs don't go very far in the playoffs. You get to interview them early, and then here you go. So, yeah, I think that's about where we're at. And as everybody knows, if you have a defensive head coach in this league, your OC, if you perform well, is going to get interviews. And doesn't happen as much the other way around because it's an offensive football league. So that's just something that with Todd Bowles at head coach, the Bucs are going to have to deal with. And if this is another top 5 offense, which is again statistically unlikely, I think you'd hope for top 10.
Right.
But even another top 5 offense in the NFL, then yeah, he's gone probably. There's going to be another team who wants another quarterback, another coordinator. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, guys. We don't know exactly how Grizzard's going to look. Cohen seemed to insinuate that he called some plays on third down based on what Cohen has said. But, you know, we don't know how extensive that is. So he still has to prove himself as a first-time play caller. And the Bucs love some first-time play callers. Dave Canales, Liam Cohen, now Josh Grizzard. They like to take risks on these people. And so far, they're 2 for 2. Can they be 3 for 3?
I think it's very interesting they put these trusts to these guys, and these guys kind of want to reward them for putting their trust in them. And so it happens kind of naturally in that way. So hopefully, you know, here it is again to that happening, and hopefully he goes about it the right way. If, you know, he does lead it to a top 5 offense and decides to take a head coaching job is all I got to say. But, you know, with that being said, let's look at the positive is, you know, the Buccaneers have experience with interviewing a lot of young,
they sure do,
offensive-minded head coaches. So here are our options for next year to start off right off the bat. We've got the 3 Rams guys.
Of course, yeah. Get it out of the way early.
Go ahead and get these out of the way. Dave Rangone, quarterbacks coach. You got Nick Cayley, the passing game coordinator, and then Nate Shieldhouse.
I think it's Shieldhouse. Now the thing about him,
pass game
being a play drawer is what McVay calls it. That's a pretty big deal in the McVay teams. And then guys like Shane Waldron, Zach Taylor, Liam Cohen have all done that.
That video that made its way around,
of course,
social media that everybody was like, "Ooh, like this is fun! Like I like this guy."
And then you got to remember though, Grizzard worked under Liam Cohen, who's done that, right? So that's where that tree kind of happens. And now they're taking a guy that really isn't necessarily a McVay disciple. And Canales wasn't technically either. because he was a Waldron guy, and then Waldron was under McVay, and then now Waldron's will be back in Jacksonville because he helped kick Liam Cohen his first gig, so the thing favor there. But those offenses look a little bit different, right? Waldron's offense and Canales' offense, by extension, is, in a word, less modern. That's two. In 2 words, less modern. Not as much motion, but taking that similar West Coast concept. But guys like McDaniel and Cohen, they love that at-snap motion, right? So a lot of moving pieces possibly here, and that's going to maybe continue.
We thought we've seen a lot, River. You're going to be even more stoked next season when we go to games. You're going to be like,
I love at-snap motion. It's not just pre-snap motion. It's not enough. While the ball is getting hiked, I need to see people run, and that's an aspect of the modern offense that a lot more teams are using successfully. Guys like Shanahan, guys like McVay in Los Angeles and San Francisco. So that is one aspect I'm curious about, because McDaniel's offense has kind of come under fire the last few years, a little bit, for initially being a burst of excitement in Miami with Tua and the fastest core in the NFL. And suddenly those results aren't quite coming as much as he'd like. And it seems like without Tagovailoa in that offense, it kind of struggles quite a bit. So curious to see if Grizzard takes some of that philosophy and some of that at-snap motion and some of the huge moving parts in Miami and then kind of applies it here to his tenure in Tampa Bay, or if it's mostly going to be like a Liam Cohen type thing, right? Cohen, he used it a lot, but he also took some cues from McVay. And Cohen was a big innovator. I really liked how Cohen saw the run scheme failing the first 2 games of the season. They ran a zone scheme because McVay runs a zone scheme. West Coast runs a zone scheme. And how he was able to transition to a gap scheme, blocking-wise, to suit the running backs and the linemen in Tampa Bay and create this monster rushing attack. And will Grizzard have that type of innovation that Cohen had, where he can just identify what's wrong, take it, and revamp it for his players over plays strategy, as we've heard Cohen say 1,000 times? Is Grizzard that same way? There's a better chance because he's seen this offense work, right? So he kind of knows what makes it tick. But that innovation's not something that you see every day in coordinators. I think it's something that Liam Cohen has that not every coordinator.
Being able to identify that like at a certain point early on, I think is a very good trait to have as a coach, which is Cohen was great at, being able to identify what was going wrong and being able to make adjustments off of that. So that I'm also curious about, is he going to be able to have that? Because I'm not sure Dave was necessarily Cohen-esque at being able to, diagnose what was going on early on and realize what wasn't working and what to get away from. But Cohen did.
In my opinion, at least, not quite as much.
I'd put it a little bit past quite, but that's just because I don't know.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
It was sluggish at times back with Dave, but
Dave's offense is very Waldron inspired, and Waldron petered out in Chicago. So there are definitely aspects of that offense that people look at and go, "Oh, I don't know," but it's up to people like Canales to be more innovative. It's up to people like Cohen to be more innovative and change those things. It's going to be up to a guy like Josh Grizzard to be able to do that. But he went to Yale, so he's smart. Yeah. So he'll probably get that. But that's going to be one of the bigger things to watch out for.
Yeah, got to love the good Yale versus Harvard battle with Ryan Fitzgerald.
Yeah. Listen, it's one of the oldest rivalries in sports.
Yeah, you gotta love that. But going back to these coaches that were being interviewed, could you see potentially, if Grizzard was able to get a head coaching job, leave, or possibly leave for whatever. They also interviewed Grant Udinski, the Vikings associate offensive coordinator, or assistant offensive coordinator, excuse me, and then obviously Marcus Brady, the passing game coordinator there with the Los Angeles Chargers. Along with those two and the 3 over from the Los Angeles Rams, I would imagine that those 5 would probably still be at the top of the list if it was next year, as long as they continue to have the type of success they've had over their careers.
I think if the Bucs have 3 OCs that become head coaches in their first year of coaching in a row, I think everybody will want to get that job. I'll apply just to see what happens.
At that point, you gotta fight to get in the door.
Yeah, and again, You have to see whether Grizzard's got that it
Right.
factor.
I'm just, theoretically
Of
speaking.
course, but the Rams are always going to be a hotbed for that sort of thing, right?
Right.
And there's a little bit of There's a lot of Rams DNA, first of all, in the Bucs, but there's a little bit of Rams DNA in Grizzard from Liam Cohen. So that's always going to be there. That's Baker Mayfield. The moment he played for Sean McVay in LA for that little stint, that's been on his mind, and that's an offense he understands. And the Bucs have really wanted to keep that continuity continuously throughout his time in Tampa Bay, and also this West Coast offense that they run. Maybe not in the traditional sense of the West Coast offense word. I mean, like the location of the West Coast offense. Should probably clarify there. This Los Angeles sort of vibe that they do with and with Shanahan as well over in San Fran. That's the modern NFL offense. That's what it is. That's what you're looking at. So trying to get that in Tampa Bay, I think, has immeasurably helped win the NFC South 4 years in a row. And that type of innovation is something that the team has struggled with in years prior. And I mean, even when they won the Super Bowl with Leftwich and Arians, that was not a very modern NFL offense.
No, but it fit Tom Brady, and
it did, absolutely.
It did not need to be modern for the
right. And then once Tom Brady was not as physically stout as he used to be, then the weaknesses in that offense kind of show itself. And props to Light and Todd for immediately going to the new meta. If anyone plays games, that sort of thing, right? So that's important. Yeah. So it's exciting, and I think it was a good hire. I think a lot of players wanted it to be the hire as well, and I think that continuity, like we talked about, with this modern style of offense constantly evolving, is going to be the key.
Yeah.
Can Grizzard evolve the way that Liam Cohen was able to? I thought Liam Cohen did a very good job taking this offense, coming in here with ideas from Sean McVay, and making it a completely different offense at the end of the year. That's impressive. That sort of thing, that's that you either have that or you're not, or you don't. It's an it factor. So we'll see if he's got it. And we'll see if the Bucs can maintain a top 10 offense if they are able to do that. And they can get pieces in the draft and free agency.
Well, that's where I was going next with this is, the whole thing was trying to make it through the next 3 to 4 years,
Yeah.
Cap.
Right.
Cap.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Now we're here. Okay. The Buccaneers finally are going to have some space to be able to do some things. So this team should be improved based off of that fact, along with the NFL draft and the success that we have seen there under Jason Light. So there is possibility that things could even improve from here on out. But with that being said, River, any closing thoughts on the hire of Josh here as the new OC, or just any thoughts in general about the Buccaneers as we get moving forward?
Well, we're going to talk to him probably next week, and I'm excited. I really am. I love talking to those offensive minds. And from the moment, I met Liam Cohen, and then afterward when he would come up the podiums for media, you could just tell he was one of those guys, right? Who had, and it was fascinating to hear him talk about the offense, the things he was doing, the concepts he ran, the pony, the 21, people talking about that all the time, and how well he utilized that with Rashad and Bucky. I'm excited to see what Grizzard brings to the table, and what's his pony, right? What's his 21 personnel? What unique aspect can he bring to this Bucs offense? And what does he see in this roster, both that Liam Cohen did, that he's going to expound upon, and what Liam Cohen didn't, that maybe he could take a look at and make his own, and put his own mark. I want to see what his own mark is. And we'll hear a little bit about that when we talk to him. And then obviously when training camp comes around, you'll start to get a little bit of an idea kind of what they're cooking, right?
Yeah.
So, going to be exciting. The continuity is pretty important, as we mentioned. And if they can sustain that success and keep what they have going and improve just about every position on the entire defense, this could be a pretty solid team next year.
Yeah, I don't think I could disagree with any of the things that River just said. I think this is a perfect hire. I think they could have gone with one of the other guys and it would have probably been okay. But I think this is the smart move, both internally, especially with everybody trying to throw hate at, the Buccaneers for, withholding guys from going to that interview for the Jacksonville Jaguars or whatnot. But this will kind of calm those things like, oh, the Buccaneers are hiring from within. Like that's a good thing. That's good.
Yeah.
From a PR perspective, anyways, I look at it that way a little bit too. But yeah, I think he's going to be a good fit. It'll be interesting to see how he gets started because you knew immediately, like you said, River, that Liam Cohen was just going to be. We would talk.
I did, and I told people, and they're like, I don't know. And then here we are.
And then you see it, and you're like, okay, yeah, it's gonna be good. And then you get guys like Cameron Johnson looking really good in training camp, and then unfortunately, like his year didn't pan out the way it was supposed to. And you're like, wow, yeah, like if these guys are flashing, then yeah, like then imagine with everybody else.
Sure, and yeah, is a guy like Cameron Johnson going to be more important or less important in this offense? And these are the questions I'm excited to get answered, and we'll know a little bit about that probably next week when we talk to Grizzard in depth. I'll definitely be excited to see both me and a lot of the other wonderful reporters in the Bucs beat being able to pick his brain and see just what he brings to the offense. But then once you get into camp season, you kind of see it right in front of you. And it's just really cool, man. It really is. This new wave of offensive minds in the NFL, they're a joy to watch. And I hope that Grizzard can be one of them. So, but we'll see.
Yeah, just like the Buccaneers, I'll be covering my fourth offensive coordinator in as many years as I've been covering the Buccaneers for BucsGameday. So
how does this affect Caleb Skinner's continuity?
Yeah, I mean it's rough. You got to start talking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
before, but I mean everybody does it. Just some people have more experience talking to these guys.
Right, of course.
It's like now I got to build this whole new thing, but
exactly.
Got to get used to it. But yeah, really excited for it. And while you guys are here, guys, if you're on Twitter, or X, formerly known as Twitter, if you're on Facebook watching, head over to our YouTube, guys. It's at BucsGameday on YouTube. Excuse me. I was going with Hear the Cannons, and then I got to remember it's on the page, not the actual title of the show. That's on me. So head over to BucsGameday on YouTube. Hear the Cannons. Our show is on there. You'll see all of our past episodes. We'll also have player interviews, coaches and coaching interviews, interviews from the locker room. Usually we'll go live on Wednesday nights from here and there as long as we got enough people ready to go. But also head over to BucsGameday.com. Check out my articles. Check out Rivers' articles. Check out Colin's articles, JC's articles.
We're right.
Everybody's got articles out right now. Shout out to all our guys, by the way. They crush it over there. I'm super thankful for them, by the way. But yeah, follow myself at CHS Knoll on Twitter or X. Good Lord, I still can't do that. And then River H Wells on X as well, guys.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure you hit that bell. Hit that like button. Smash that like button.
Subscribe, dude. Subscribe.
Subscribe.
We love that. We really do. We appreciate you guys tuning in every week. Coming in here, comment section. Really appreciate our viewers that are in here every single time we live. Also appreciate you guys as well. But with that being said, new offensive coordinator, I think everybody should be excited. I know River and I are. With that being said, guys, thank you, and fire the cannons.
Fire.